Crater. It's early evening when we finally approach the rally point. We're deep in the south of the continent by now, flying through cloud-wreathed mountaintops. The unpressurized cabin is cold, and Zura gives us pills for altitude sickness. Cole and his brother are in the back seat. I'm up front with Zura, bored and butt-numb from sitting all day. The clouds part, revealing a huge mountain in our path. Its peak rises another 1,000 meters over us, flat-topped and girdled with shining snow. The White Mountains, Zura says. Cole leans forward. You never saw a volcano, Rabbit Frey, so I got you a volcano. Thanks. It's impressive. As we approach, the sunset glints across the peak. I've never seen snow this far south, or a mountain this tall. The hover car keeps climbing. Wait, are we going inside that thing, I ask? Into the cauldrons, yes, Cole says. It's too high for recon drones to fly. We can use the code book without getting traced, and the size of the crater will dampen the signal spill, and there's a whole glacier full of fresh water. It's super cold and hard to get to, Tio snorts. Face it, you just wanted a secret base inside a volcano. Since I was a littlie, Cole says, but it's warm in the cauldron and half a click across. We could fit 100 hover cars inside. Hopefully that's what we'll find, Zura says. Cole reaches forward and takes my hand. His gaze is sharp with excitement. Then I see the mist rising up out of the cauldron, like a pot of water about to boil. Wait, it's hot in there. This volcano's dead, right? Not extinct, Cole says, but it hasn't blown in 90 years. Well, that makes me feel better. The crest of the lip of the cauldron and the huge crater opens up below us. Rolling steam hides everything inside. The inner cliffs are bare stone, too warm for snow to stick. The rising air hits us as we descend, and the car shudders a little. I can see signs of an encampment through the mist. Hover cars, tents, solar panels, on a high shelf of rock, soldiers scurrying into position at our approach. Cole really has an army. Seeing those faces gazing up at us, fingers seem to close around my chest. Soon everyone in that army will know my secret. It recalls an old nightmare of mine, walking out on stage to give a speech for Rafi, certain that the whole audience will see through me. Frey, Zura says gently, you might want to wear that. She gestures down at the compartment in front of my seat. It's full of warden stuff. Wrist ties, safety flares, a med kit, and a breather mask for fire rescues. Just big enough to cover my mouth and chin so Cole's army won't be gawking at me from the moment we land. Thanks, she shrugs. I don't want to get shot for driving around a kidnapper. That's right. My encounter with the Paz wardens has probably been on the feeds all day. The world thinks that Rafi kidnapped the Palafox's second son. Fantastic. I set my sneak suit to Victorian livery, just so it's clear whose side I'm on. In the turbulent winds of the cauldron, the landing is tricky. Our skids scrape the stone, mist boils around our lifting fans, and I can feel the heat of the volcano, even here inside the car. But that's not why I'm sweating. A squad of soldiers in Victorian uniforms approaches, rifles leveled. They look more confused than hostile, maybe because we're in a warden car from a city 2,000 clicks away. When Cole emerges from the back door, they break into cheers. Sir, a soldier steps forward, saluting sharply. He looks barely older than Cole. Good to see you. You too. Cole claps him on the shoulder. The shouts of astonishment redouble as Tio steps from the car. While they're distracted, I swing down onto the stone, my face covered by the mask. More soldiers are gathering around us, maybe 30 altogether. A few give me curious looks, but most of them are crowded around the brothers Palafox. Then one of the soldiers looks straight at me. You're her, aren't you? She asks. It's hard to answer when half the time I don't know who I am. Depends, she nods slowly. Secret ops, I get it. But just so you know, there have been rumors since I got here about one of our units. They responded to an emergency beacon first day of the war. I frown. A beacon? Turned out to be a crash-shred scout car. Weird thing was, there were 2 troopers tied up outside. I heard this one too, says another soldier, crowded closer to me. Hostiles were incoming, so they had to run, but they grabbed the tied-up soldiers for transport to a neutral city. That's when it got brain missing. The whole way there, these two prisoners wouldn't shut up about who knocked out their car. Someone with a knife who looked just like, well, kind of like you, ma'am. And that story from Paz today, the soldier says, Tio getting kidnapped by a certain first daughter, but here he is, safe and sound with you. She smiles at me, takes my hand and pumps it once. So whatever it is you do, thanks for doing it. The other soldier winks, making that bubblehead look like a kidnapper. Legendary. Others have overheard them, and the crowd is turning its attention to me. I see Cole watching, waiting for me to say something. This is my chance to get it over with. I grab the seal of the mask and tear it off all at once. The soldier's eyes light up, and one lets out a low whistle. Spitting image, he says. Others are gathering around me now, and I hear the story repeated, the scout car, Tio, my sister. This small army has been here most of the day with nothing to do but swap war stories. By now, they've all heard versions of the outlandish tale. Cole hoists himself up on the warden's car landing skid. He waves for silence. Everyone, just so you know, this is Frey. She might look like one of them, but she's on our side. She saved my life. All those eyes turn to me, and for a moment, it's like stepping into a blinding sun. I'm certain they can see all my secrets, everything I've ever thought or felt. Of course, these soldiers have no idea who I really am. They must think I'm some kind of spy, surged to look like Rafi. They're all in need of a good story about their side winning, and that's what I mean to them. Then the strangest thing happens. They start clapping. I've had a lifetime of applause, people clasping for my father when I stand dutifully next to him on stage, for Rafi when I deliver her speeches in front of crowds of randoms. But this is for me, Frey. Suddenly, dozens of people know my name, and somehow all that attention is in a pulse knife shredding me to mist. I stand there, real and solid, seen. There must have been a part of me that was always hungry for this, because now I want everyone to know my name, my story. At last, I'm not afraid. They'll all disappear tomorrow for knowing too much, because they're an army, not one unlucky tutor. Cole steps down from the landing skid. He pulls me into a hug. Thanks for the introduction, I whisper. Didn't want anyone starting trouble. He pulls back, shrugs, and they need a hero right now. That word sends a mad giggle through me. Just being able to say my own name is enough. Flattery, you're going to be a good leader, Cole. I have to be. His smile stays firm on his face. Just talked to the ranking officer here. 3 troop ships, 2 scout cars, and 6 light attack craft. I stare at him. That's everything? He nods. 11 surviving hover cars, counting you, me, and my little brother. The Victorian Army is 67 people.